London, but I gotta say this for the cloud. All right, yeah, so this is Brother Doug here from the Awakened by Yahuwah Fellowship Group. All right, so those that are seeing this, I was not even planning to do this type of expose study today, but I mean, I'm the only one here for our scheduled meeting, so yeah, so I'm kind of improvising today because originally we had planned to continue through the Torah, but I'm the only one here, so I don't want to go through our Torah studies without anyone else here that's in the group. So here we go. So this study is going to be called Kingdom Now, Theology Debunked, like I mentioned before on the Facebook Live. Okay, so we're first going to go to the first scripture that is pretty much, you could say, a foundation for how you should interpret prophecy. And you know what? I'm already hearing stupid air conditioner in my background, so hold on, guys. I don't want the sound quality to suffer here. All right. So hopefully you guys are hearing me better now. All right, so we're first going to go to 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 20. Okay, so I'll just go to my regular eSword program because since this is just a cross-reference study, okay. 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 20. Okay, and see, it says, knowing this first, that that no prophecy of the scripture comes from one's own interpretation. And technically, too, my brother Jeff reminded me the other day of this scripture, Amos 3:7, okay, which says, for Yahuwah Elohim will do nothing without revealing instruction to his servants, the prophets. Meaning, prophetically speaking, Yahuwah is not going to do anything unless it's revealed to his prophets. So the book of the prophets, all the prophets in the Old Testament, if it's not revealed to them, he's not going to do it. Okay? So that's important to understand that. Okay? For example, let me give you an example. A transference of a physical temple into now the human body is the new temple was never prophesied in the prophets. So we know that that's not prophecy and that's not going to happen. Zechariah 6:13, which we're going to get to later, is a physical building being builded by Messiah. It's not talking about the body of Messiah. And the only reason it's interpreted like that is because Christianity has a preconceived bias. They don't believe Yahusha. They believe that Yahusha did away with the sacrifices. So that's the only reason they would want to interpret it like that. That's the only reason, because they have a preconceived bias. Okay? Okay, number 2. So our second bullet point is going to be, okay, who brings heaven to earth, Yahuwah or us? Because this is the main thing they want to use, okay, usually in the kingdom now spiritualization. We're already in the kingdom theology. Oh, we bring heaven down to earth. No, we don't. Okay, we're going to go to a couple scriptures here to debunk that theory that we bring heaven to earth, that there's no scriptural support to that. Okay, so we're first going to go to, I think it's Isaiah 65 verse 17. Okay, so, and let's see here. New heavens and new earth, okay? So this is when the New Jerusalem, which is also the new heaven, okay, comes down to the new earth, right? For there shall be a new heaven. Notice how it says, for there shall be, okay? A new heaven and a new earth. They shall not at all remember the former. We're still remembering the former, okay? So we know this can't have been fulfilled at all whatsoever yet. We're still remembering the former. For goodness sakes, we're on the former right now, okay? Neither shall they at all come into their mind. Okay, it still comes into our mind. We still remember the former earth because we're living on the former earth. Okay, so heaven has not came down yet, and now we're gonna go to a scripture that shows that we don't bring heaven to earth. Yahuwah does. Okay, the new heaven and new earth. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven, we're still on the first heaven and first earth, mind you. The first heaven and the first earth had passed away. Remember, Yahushua says in Matthew 5:18, till heaven and earth pass away. That's why the Levitical priesthood has to come back. Okay, this has not happened yet. That's why the Levitical priesthood has to come back in the millennium to all be fulfilled. Okay? And there was no more sea. Then in verse 2, then I saw the set apart city, the new Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from, and I actually like the Restored Name King James here better. All right. And I, John, saw the set apart city, the new Jerusalem, coming down from Yahuwah out of heaven. From who? Yahuwah, not us. Okay. Prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. Not a bride prepared for her husband. Okay. Without the as, it makes it literal. In the English language, when you have as, it makes it an allegory. It makes it a simile, okay? Doesn't mean that the New Jerusalem is the bride, okay? As a bride, okay? But the bigger point here is that it's coming down from Yahuwah out of heaven. We don't bring it to earth. And in my opinion, this Kingdom Now theology is very New Agey. It's extremely New Agey, okay? Extremely Gnostic sounding that we're already in the kingdom. You know, Yahushua is reigning from heaven. First of all, Yahushua has to reign on earth when his kingdom comes, okay? That's the whole point. He's coming back to earth to rule and reign on this present earth in the millennium. That's the whole point of the millennium. If he could rule and reign from heaven and he never had to come back to inherit the millennial reign, it should have been happening already. If that's the case, the millennial should have been over by now then, because he's been up in heaven for thousands and thousands of years. The millennial reign is only 1,000 years. So again, you know, if we don't take stuff like this in context, we're going to really be off with end times prophecy. Okay, it says, and my next bullet point says, are we in the kingdom right now? Are we really in the kingdom of Yahuwah? Are we in the millennial kingdom? Okay, so we're going to look at Daniel 7:17 and 18. We're also going to look at the last beast kingdom to see the context of that, when they would inherit that kingdom. Okay. All right, so Daniel chapter 7, verses 17 okay, let me see here. Will not be destroyed. Okay. These great beasts, which are four kings, which shall arise out of the earth, but the set apart ones of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Okay? Now again, where's the kingdom then? If it's already been given to us, we're already in the kingdom. Where is it? Where is it? Because I'll be honest, speaking from my, from where I'm speaking, we are in no level in the kingdom of Yahuwah yet. Okay, there's still death. There's still people are not even living usually past 50 or 60 years half the time still. Okay, in the millennium, you would be cursed if you only lived to 100 years. Okay, so we got to keep everything in context. So this has not happened yet. Are we in the kingdom right now? No, we're not, because the kingdom has not been given to the set apart ones of the Most High. The beast kingdom is still the beast's kingdom. It has not been given. Basically, the last kingdom on earth will be given to the set apart ones of the Most High. That's what Daniel 7 talks about. Okay? And then we go to Daniel chapter 2, verses 40 to 43. Okay, we'll see that there's still stuff that has to happen. Okay? Daniel chapter 2, verses 40 to 43. And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaks into pieces and subdues all things, and as iron that breaks all these, shall it break into pieces and bruise. And whereas you saw the feet and toes part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron. For as much as you saw the iron mixed with miry clay, and as the toes of the feet were part of iron, part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And whereas you saw iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of mankind, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. This is key to understand here, because this is the last beast kingdom, right? This is the kingdom that we get, that we inherit, right? We just read in Daniel 7:18, okay? The reason this is important is, I'll tell you why, is because, okay, think about it for a second. You got iron and clay, a mixed kingdom, right? But these people, the iron, are not the seed of mankind. You understand what I'm saying here, okay? So in context, is saying that this last fourth kingdom is going to be partly the seed of mankind and partly not, and that they will actually mingle themselves, which is a sexual term, with the seed of humankind. Okay? Where have we heard that before? Okay? Or where have we seen that before? I can tell you right now, this is not happening again. This is referring to as the days of Noah, which means that the days of Noah have to happen first before we even have the kingdom. Before Yahuwah's kingdom comes to earth, whether you want to talk about the New Jerusalem or the Millennial Kingdom, Daniel 2:43 has to happen first anyway. Either way, it doesn't matter. Either way, it has to happen first, okay? This has to happen first, because especially if you're talking about the Millennial, okay? Because this obviously happens before the Millennial. And the reason I know this is talking about the days of Noah, what happened before the flood, with the sons of Elohim, the angels, mingling with the human women, okay? This is what Yahusha meant by as the days of Noah. I know a lot of people think because they read that one verse in the New Testament that it just means, oh, they were eating and drinking. That's all he means by that. No. If you read some of the extra biblical literature, some of the Apocrypha, there was a lot more going on than just giving into marriage and stuff like that, and eating and having fun and being drunk and all that. Nah. Okay, there was a lot more going on. There was hybrids being created. There was bestiality, stuff like that. So when Yahusha says, Matthew 24:37, but as the days of Noah were, so also the coming of the Son of Man be. Okay, so now you go to Genesis 6:4. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of Elohim, which would have been the iron of Daniel 2:43, that would be the iron, okay, came into the daughters of men or daughters of humans, okay, that's the clay. So we know for a fact that something similar to Genesis 6:4 is going to happen again. Why? Yahusha said, because Yahusha says in Matthew 24:37, as the days of Noah were. Okay, so that last final beast kingdom has to involve that somewhat. It has to be a hybridized type of kingdom, if you see what I'm saying. Okay, it's not just going to be a regular human kingdom. So this has not happened yet. All right. Now we go to Matthew 19, verse 28. This is another problem if you believe in this kingdom now theology. This is going to be another problem for you. Because if we're already in the millennium, at the minimum, you know, some people would say we're already going through the millennial reign. You know, okay. So if we're already in the millennium, why has this not happened yet? Matthew 19:28. And Yahusha said unto them, verily I say unto you, that you which have followed me in the regeneration, pretty sure this would refer to either the millennial or the new heaven, new earth. Either way, this has not happened yet. It really doesn't matter which one he's talking about. In the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his esteem, you also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Yasharal. Okay. This has not happened yet. Regardless, whether you want to make the argument that that verse is talking about the new heaven, new earth, or the millennial, either way, we're not at neither one. Heaven and earth has not passed away, so we're not at the new heaven, new earth, and we're not in the millennium either. So it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter either way you look at it. So that prophecy has not been fulfilled. And I put a little note here saying, obviously this is future since the apostles are still in Sheol. They're still in the grave. And the resurrection hasn't happened yet. This most likely, and the reason I said most likely is because you could make the case either way that that verse could be referring to the new heaven, new earth, or the millennium. This most likely happens in the millennial reign of Messiah, which is after the day of Yahuwah. And I also have another cross-reference here. Zechariah 14:16. Okay? And let's go there real quick. So let's see here. We're going to go to Zechariah 14:16. Okay? So 14:16. And it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations, or if you want to be even more specific, all the ethnicities. Yep, ethnos. Okay? Ethnicities, specifically Gentile nations. Okay? Gentiles, heathens, by implication, pagan. Okay? So these nations are not Israelites. Okay? Shall come to pass, shall be left of all the Gentiles. I think Gentiles would probably be more specific here. That came up against Jerusalem shall even come up every year to worship the King Yahuwah Almighty and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. Reason we know that this is talking about the millennium is you got people traveling. You got people traveling month to month to worship Yahuwah. And also the fact, think about it, they're worshiping him at the Feast of Tabernacles. Okay? Earlier in the book of Zechariah, which we're going to get to in a little bit, Yahusha is going to build a physical temple in Jerusalem. So it makes sense that they're coming to worship Yahuwah in the millennial at Jerusalem, probably at a physical temple. It just makes sense. Okay, so, and I put a little note here saying the millennial reign of Messiah does not come until the beast, meaning the Antichrist, the anti-Messiah, and false prophet are defeated at the first war of the end. Okay, so actually you have the resurrection, then you have the marriage supper of the Lamb, and then you have this first war of the end, and then you have the millennium kingdom. So we're a ways off from the millennium kingdom, it's safe to say. Okay, so, and this is the problem with the kingdom now theology. You're throwing all that stuff out by believing that we're already in the kingdom. Then I guess the beast and false prophet must, they must already be in the lake of fire, I guess, even though that has never happened. Okay, and the beast hasn't even came yet. We haven't even gotten to the tribulation period. Okay, so again, so we're going to go to Revelations 19 and 20. Okay. And I saw the beasts and the kings of the earth and their armies and gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. So this is basically, Yahusha taking out the beast and the false prophet and all that. He's on his horse. He's descending from heaven onto the earth. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that worked miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into the lake of fire, burning with brimstone. So again, this has not happened yet. Okay. And here's another bullet point here, okay? Yahuwah also is going to take Levites to reinstitute the Levitical priesthood in the millennium. Okay, so if we're in the millennial reign of Messiah, where's the Levitical priesthood? Okay, just another problem with this kingdom now theology, okay? And the reason Christianity can work their way around it is because they don't believe the Levites are coming back. They actually think that Yahusha did away with the sacrifices in Daniel 9:27. And after we're done, I guess we could go there and show you the fallacy of that and how that's incorrect. Exegesis of that chapter, of that verse of that chapter. So, and for those that are watching, exegesis just means you interpret the Bible for what it's literally saying, not what you want it to say. Okay. Okay, so Isaiah 66:21. And I will take of them priests and Levites, says Yahuwah. Okay, Isaiah 66 is all future, all millennium. Has not happened yet. Okay, has not happened whatsoever. Okay, Ezekiel 44:15. Okay, this is another one. Ezekiel 44:15 says, rules for the Levitical priests. The priests, the Levites, the sons of Zadok, who kept the charges of my set-apart place when the house of Yashar'al went astray from me, these shall draw near to me to minister to me, shall stand before my face to offer sacrifice to me, the fat and the blood, says Yahuwah Elohim. Now notice how it's past tense, saying they served him in the past. Ezekiel 44:15 is a reinstituting of the sons of Zadok. Okay? It's a reinstituting of them getting put back into place. Right now, we are in a Melchizedek priesthood. We are in a transference period, or you could say we're in a transition period where we are temporarily in a Melchizedek priesthood until Yahusha comes to earth, because when he returns, he cannot be a priest on earth. It has to go back to the Levitical priesthood until this heaven and earth passes away. Okay, so I think that makes some sense to try to explain that to you guys why I'm showing that. Okay, so that has not happened yet. No, I should say no true Levitical priesthood has returned, because I know there's they're probably doing something in the land to bring a false Levitical priesthood during the tribulation. So, and I already reiterated, and let me correct myself, guys. I messed up the other day. It's actually chapter 6, verse 12, when Yahusha builds the temple. So let me just go to that one here. Okay. And most commentators understand this is talking about Yahusha. Unfortunately, these Christian commentators want to say that this refers to the body of Messiah, which I disagree. We are not the temple, okay? We are a dwelling place for the set-apart spirit to dwell. We are not the temple or the dwelling place. There is a difference, okay? Zechariah 6:12, and you shall say to him, thus says Yahuwah Almighty, behold, the man whose name is the branch. Who's the branch? Okay, Yahusha. And he shall spring up from his stem and build the house of Yahuwah. That has not happened yet. Yahusha did not build a physical temple yet. Okay? That still has to happen. The resurrection is not the millennial kingdom. And I've heard this. I've heard this from someone I used to consider a sister of mine, okay? That we're bringing heaven to earth because we're shining like the angels. We're shining like the stars on heaven. No, that's incorrect. Sorry. The resurrection is not the millennial kingdom. The resurrection happens before the millennial kingdom. So it can't be the same as the kingdom, okay? This is something we need to understand, all right? Daniel chapter 12, verse 2, and Matthew 24:29 happens immediately after the tribulation, which is before the millennial, okay? And from what I'm reading from in Revelations 19, if I got the timing correct, you actually have the day of Yahuwah, okay, right after that, right? Okay. And then you got the millennial. Now, again, it gets kind of fuzzy. Is the first great or the end, is that the same thing as the day of Yahuwah? I would assume that's the same thing as the day of Yahuwah, so that would be after the resurrection. It probably would be, you got the resurrection, you got the marriage supper of the Lamb, and then you got the day of Yahuwah, which is the first great battle of the end, and then you have the millennial. So technically, you got 3 events before we get to the millennium. We are nowhere near the millennium right now, and that's the point. That's the point. Regardless of your interpretation of how these events exactly happen, and so okay. All right, it says Daniel chapter 12. And I think we're going to go to verse 2. It says, and many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall wake, some to everlasting life, and some to reproach and everlasting shame. Okay, this is talking about the resurrection, which goes perfectly with Matthew 24:29. immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give its light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. Okay? And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. Okay? So Yahusha doesn't come until immediately after the tribulation of those days. So again, that has not happened yet. We haven't even gotten to the tribulation period yet. Okay? So again, this was just a short study just to show you guys, how we can interpret scripture for what it says, interpret prophecy for what it says. I mean, we're not going to have it like all together and perfectly figured out like sequentially when exactly everything happens. But we know for a fact, the point of this study is we know for a fact the millennial has not happened yet. Okay? You still got the appearing of the anti-Messiah, the abomination of desolation, which causes the tribulation period. Then the return of Yahusha immediately after the tribulation. Then you probably have the marriage supper of the Lamb. And then you have the day of Yahuwah, which I believe is one and the same as the battle that he has against the beast and false prophet. And then you have the millennial kingdom. And then after the millennial kingdom, you have the last great battle of the end. And then the last great battle of the end after that is finally the new heaven, new earth. So this idea that we bring heaven to earth is, I'm sorry, it's a complete heresy. Like it was already established earlier in this study. Yahuwah brings heaven to earth, and he's not going to bring heaven to earth until all those events I just mentioned have been fulfilled all the way up until the new heaven, new earth. So we are far away from the kingdom. Right now, all that Yahusha did, when Yahusha said that you shall not see death until you see the kingdom, what Yahusha was saying by that, he was saying you'll see a taste of the kingdom. They did not get into the kingdom. The thief on the stake even, he said, remember me when you come into your kingdom. The thief on the stake knew that when Yahusha died, he wasn't automatically going to go into the kingdom. Okay, his kingdom wasn't coming automatically after he was crucified or he was impaled. So I pray that this study was a help for you guys, that it would help you understand prophecy better. And this study was to show the fallacy of this kingdom now movement. And really, it's a very deceptive type of movement because it completely throws off your eschatology. It completely throws off your end time interpretation, and it leads you to be deceived to think we're already in the kingdom, that the kingdom is spiritualized and all that. So thank you for joining me today, though, and please stay tuned when all of us are together, when me and my brothers and sisters are all together again. We'll Yahuwah and Yahusha willing, we'll be continuing our Torah study, and we'll be starting Exodus chapter 1 when that happens. So thank you for joining me. If you have any questions, any comments, please leave it in the comments section on this YouTube Live, those that are watching YouTube Live, or those that will be seeing this on uploaded to YouTube. I think I did. I said Facebook Live. And those that see it on YouTube later, you can also send stuff in the comments section. For those that are going to watch this on YouTube, if you like the content that we put up on this channel, that our group, the fellowship group of Awakened by Yahuwah, in Yahuwah Almighty, Yahushua Messiah, if you like what our fellowship group does, please like, share, and subscribe. Please click on the notification bell. Other than that, to all my brothers and sisters out there that saw this, have a great rest of your day. Shalom.